Nobody believed him yet. Not the coaches, not the crowd, not even his own family. He would shock a champion, defy his own government, and lose everything he'd built. And then, against every prediction, he would rise again, louder than before. This is the story of Muhammad Ali. Let's step into the ring together. In 1954, a 12-year-old boy named Cassius Clay walked into a police gym in Louisville, Kentucky, furious. Someone had stolen his brand new bicycle, and he wanted to fight whoever took it. A police officer named Joe Martin, who also happened to coach boxing, gave the boy some advice. "If you're going to fight," Martin said, "you'd better learn how." Cassius took that advice seriously, and within weeks he was training every single day. He came from a working-class family. His father painted signs, and his mother cleaned houses to help make ends meet. Even as a child, Cassius stood out, energetic, talkative, and endlessly confident, long before anyone knew his name. He'd run alongside the school bus each morning, convinced that extra effort would one day make him unbeatable. He was fast, faster than most heavyweights anyone had ever seen, and he loved to talk. He predicted the round he'd win in, sometimes even the exact way his opponent would fall. People called him boastful. He called himself the greatest, long before he'd proven it to anyone. By 1960, at just 18 years old, he'd earned a spot on the United States Olympic boxing team. In Rome, young Cassius Clay won the gold medal in the light heavyweight division. He came home a hero, proud, confident, and ready to turn professional. But America in 1960 was still deeply divided by race, and his homecoming wasn't simple. In his hometown, some restaurants still refused to serve him, gold medal or not. That contradiction, a national hero treated as a second-class citizen, stayed with him for the rest of his life. According to one story he told for years, he was so hurt that he threw his medal into a river. Whether that exact story is entirely true or partly legend, it captured something real about how he felt that year. Clay turned professional and began climbing the heavyweight rankings with startling speed. His style broke every rule boxing coaches taught. He kept his hands low and moved constantly, dancing on his toes. "Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee" became his famous description of his own fighting style. By 1964, he'd earned a shot at the heavyweight championship of the world. His opponent was Sonny Liston, a fearsome champion most experts considered unbeatable. Clay was called reckless, and many predicted he wouldn't survive past the third round. Instead, night after night before the fight, he taunted Liston publicly, calling him the Big Ugly Bear. When the fight finally happened in Miami, Clay moved with a speed Liston simply couldn't match. By the sixth round, Liston refused to continue, and Cassius Clay became heavyweight champion of the world. He raised his arms and shouted to the stunned crowd, "I am the greatest. I shook up the world." Just days after that victory, Clay made an announcement that shocked the country. He'd joined the Nation of Islam, and he was changing his name to Muhammad Ali. Many sports writers at the time refused to use his new name, still calling him Clay out of protest. Ali stood firm. "Cassius Clay is a slave name," he said. "I didn't choose it, and I don't want it." This wasn't just a name change. It was a public declaration of identity, faith, and independence. For the next few years, Ali defended his title again and again, seemingly unstoppable inside the ring. But outside the ring, a much bigger battle was approaching, one that would cost him everything he'd built. In 1966, Ali was drafted into the United States military to fight in the Vietnam War. He refused, citing his religious beliefs, and famously said, "I ain't got no quarrel with them Viet Cong." He added a line that would echo for decades. "No Viet Cong ever called me the N-word." The consequences were swift and severe. Ali was arrested and stripped of his heavyweight title almost immediately. Boxing commissions across the country refused to license him. His passport was taken away. At the peak of his athletic career, at just 25 years old, Muhammad Ali was banned from boxing entirely. He faced up to 5 years in prison and lost millions of dollars in potential earnings. Many Americans called him a traitor. Others saw him as one of the bravest men in the country. For 3.5 years, Ali couldn't step into a ring to earn a living. He spoke at colleges instead, defending his beliefs to students across the nation, sharpening his voice as an activist. Slowly, public opinion in America began to shift as the Vietnam War grew more unpopular by the year. Ali's stand also inspired a generation of activists and athletes who watched a champion risk everything for his beliefs. Reporters who once mocked him began to describe his stance as principled, even courageous rather than reckless. In 1971, the United States Supreme Court overturned his conviction, and Ali was finally cleared to fight again. But 3.5 years had cost him his physical prime, the fastest years of his career. In 1971, he faced Joe Frazier, the reigning champion, in a fight billed as the fight of the century. Ali lost that fight, his first professional defeat, in a brutal 15-round battle at Madison Square Garden. It was a painful loss, but it was far from the end of his story. In 1974, Ali got a chance to reclaim the heavyweight title against George Foreman, a younger, ferocious champion. The fight took place in Kinshasa, Zaire, and was nicknamed the Rumble in the Jungle. Almost nobody gave Ali a chance. Foreman was younger, stronger, and had never lost a professional fight. Ali came up with a strategy nobody expected, leaning back against the ropes, letting Foreman throw punch after punch. He called it rope-a-dope, absorbing punishment while Foreman slowly tired himself out over the early rounds. By the 8th round, Foreman was exhausted, and Ali struck back, knocking him down for the first time. Muhammad Ali was heavyweight champion of the world once again, at 32 years old. A year later came another legendary battle, the Thrilla in Manila, his third fight against Joe Frazier. Both men pushed themselves to complete exhaustion under brutal heat in the Philippines. Ali later said it felt like the closest thing to dying he'd ever experienced. He won that fight too, but the physical toll on both men was enormous and lasting. Ali continued fighting for several more years, though age and years of punishment slowly caught up with him. He retired in 1981, having become one of the most recognized faces on the entire planet. By then, Ali wasn't just a boxer, he was one of the most famous people on the planet. His quick wit made him a natural on television, trading jokes and sharp lines with talk show hosts. Poets and musicians referenced him in their work, and his face appeared on magazine covers across the globe. In the years that followed, doctors diagnosed him with Parkinson's syndrome, likely linked to his years inside the ring. His once quick, playful speech slowed dramatically, and his movements grew stiff and careful. Yet Ali never disappeared from public life. If anything, his influence quietly grew even larger. He traveled the world for humanitarian causes, meeting world leaders and raising awareness for hunger relief and children's education. In 1990, he even traveled to Iraq, helping negotiate the release of American hostages before the Gulf War. His condition made public speaking harder, but his presence alone still commanded rooms full of powerful people. In 1996, trembling but determined, he lit the Olympic flame at the Atlanta Games in a deeply emotional moment. Millions watched, many in tears, as the man once banned from his own sport carried its brightest symbol. He'd gone from outcast to icon, from a banned fighter to one of the world's most beloved figures. Muhammad Ali passed away in 2016 at the age of 74. Tens of thousands attended his funeral procession through the streets of Louisville, the city that once refused to serve him. Leaders, athletes, and ordinary people from around the world came to honor a man who had refused to stay silent. He was remembered not just as a great boxer, but as a man who stood by his beliefs. Muhammad Ali once said, Service to others is the rent you pay for your room here on earth. He paid that rent fully, inside the ring and far beyond it, for his entire remarkable life. What do you think made Ali the greatest? His skill in the ring or his courage outside it? Tell me in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next episode.